You're listening to the Neighborhood Bulldog, where the porch light's always on and the maroon runs deep. I'm Scott Nabors, and this is your home for real Mississippi State sports talk. Around here, we don't chase headlines. We break down the wins, the losses, the culture, and what it really means to be a Bulldog. If it matters in Starkville, it matters here. So pull up a chair, grab a drink, and welcome to the neighborhood. Hail State. Welcome into the latest episode of the Neighborhood Bulldog. I am your Neighborhood Bulldog and host, Scott Nabors, here with you on a Monday night after what was another dud of a weekend for the Mississippi State baseball team. Not all bad, though, for Mississippi State, as we'll get into some softball here in just a little bit. But ultimately, the Mississippi State baseball team leaving a lot to be desired for the second straight weekend here. We had a job to do and we did not do it. Really thought it was there for the taking, but ultimately Mississippi State baseball falls short of taking the series at Texas A&M. You, very similar to the Auburn game, you blow out Texas A&M on Thursday night, a really, really good game. You end up winning 18-11. Now, pitching was not the strong suit in this ball game, but Mississippi State just continued to pile on the Texas A&M Aggies in this game. Ultimately, able to hold on for an 18-11 win. And then on Friday night, you end up losing 11-9 against Texas A&M. And on Saturday, a game that went back and forth, trading blows. You end up losing 7-6, and you lose the series to Texas A&M, a series you really needed if you wanted to have a chance to be a national seed. I believe that at this point, that goal is unattainable. Unless Mississippi State was to go win the SEC tournament, that may get them close. But as it sits right now, Mississippi State is sitting here after last weekend at 39-16 overall, 16-14 in conference. And I just don't think 16 is enough to get it done for the Bulldogs being a top 8 national seed. Now, will Mississippi State host a regional? Yes. Mississippi State is going to host a regional, barring an epic, just complete no-show in Hoover. Would really like to win 1 or 2 games to solidify the hosting spot, although I think that is pretty much solidified at this point. Like I said, if Mississippi State goes out and gets run-ruled in Hoover in the first game, that would not look good because, as we've seen before from the committee, it is all about who's hot right now, who's playing well right now. Yes, the season as a whole plays a factor, but there's a premium on the teams that are looking good as we speak. And right now, Mississippi State is not. Pitching is a huge issue for the Bulldogs right now. Tomas Malinkas didn't have his best stuff, but still pitching well for the most part. And then the second spot and third spot in the Bulldogs rotation is just completely a crapshoot. I mean, Duke Stone just feels like you're playing with fire every time you put him out there. And then on Sunday, Ryan McPherson is not as back as we hoped he would be. We'll see if he gets right in the postseason here. We need him at 70 or 80 pitches and him to be his old early season self for State to have a good chance to make a run here in the postseason. And then in relief pitching, I mean, there is something at this point you have to start asking the hard questions about Charlie Foster. Charlie Foster is completely done at Mississippi State, in my opinion. I don't know what this coaching staff continues to trust him for because he has proven time and time again that he cannot get it done. Ben Davis for State is phenomenal in the first and second inning. But for whatever reason, when he hits that third inning, it just blows up on him. And this weekend, we saw again some baffling decisions from the coaching staff that just seemingly make no sense. And sometimes I wonder some of the moves that are being made, it's almost like you're making a move just to say you made a move. And that's never what you want to see, um, especially late in the season like this. You need to have your lineup kind of locked down at this point. We're done with the regular season. You should know who your guys are. We should not still be having to trade in and out Drew Wires and Ryder Woodson. We shouldn't have to be trading in and out Aiden Till late in the game. Vitas Valencius has played well. Drew Wires has played well. I know he got injured. Aiden Till not played well at all. I mean, you cannot put a game in his hands. You cannot give him a chance because ultimately, I think that what happened on Thursday in Thursday's game is largely on Aiden Till. The entire weekend is largely on Aiden Till. Mississippi State had a chance in the, I believe it was the seventh inning. Mississippi State had a chance to get the run rule and get out of there early. It was 17-7. And what happens? A fly ball gets hit. You end up taking Vitas Valencius out of left field. You move Bryce Chance from center field to left field. Why? Who knows? And you put Aiden Till in center field there with a 10-run lead. You desperately needed this run rule to save your pitching for the rest of the weekend. And what happens? Well, fly ball gets hit to Aiden Till. He hot dogs it and hits his glove and he drops it. Then, next thing you know, you're out of the run rule. Now you have to play another inning. But it's not just that. He drops the fly ball to blow the run rule, and then he dropped a second fly ball. A Division I center fielder dropping two routine fly balls. And on the second one, he runs in full speed, like 20 yards, before realizing, oh no, it got hit a mile over my head. And he immediately turns and runs back, and it's way too late. I mean, just a total, like, what are you doing moment. I mean, that would have been number one on Come On Man when they used to do that on Sports Center. Just totally egregious play from Aiden Till there. And instead of getting the run roll, getting out of there using one pitcher, maybe two, you end up going from 17-7 and getting the run roll to playing the entire game and winning 18-11. So Aiden Till cost you the run rule and essentially 8, 9, 10, 4 runs off Aiden Till's errors there. And not only did he cost you that, you ended up having to use 3 more pitchers. 3 more pitchers to get out of the game when you could have got out of it with a pitcher, Tomas Valencius. He went 5 innings, and then pitcher came in for 2.2 innings. But then you had to bring in Maddox Webb and Ben Davis just to get out of the game. So you largely could have saved. Pitcher probably could have come back. Maddox Webb and Ben Davis would have been completely fresh the rest of the weekend. Just a complete botch by Aiden Till, and it was disgusting to see that happen. And then on Saturday, I mean, on Friday night, you end up losing the game 11-9. Duke Stone takes the loss there. He goes 2 innings, 2 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, all earned, 3 Ks, 1 walk. Just did not have it. Jack Bauer comes in, goes 4 hits, 3 runs. Think he gave up a home run there. And then Maddox Miller and Ben Davis come in at the end of that game as well. But again, you had Noah Sullivan go 3 for 5 with a good game there. And then Ryder Woodson 3 for 3 back in the lineup, shows off there a little bit. But this game right here, kind of went back and forth a little bit. And then, we hit a pitcher. We hit the batter. We hit the batter in the 6th inning to put them up 11-9. RBI hit by pitch, go figure. And just could not make it up from there. So you lose that game 11-9. And then on Saturday, I keep getting the Thursday through Saturday stuff confused. Who takes the loss? Charlie Foster takes the loss. We had Ryan McPherson pitch, 2 1/3, 1 hit, 1 run, 4 walks, 3 Ks. So Ryan McPherson did not have it. He was not ready. Dane Burns comes in, pitches 1 inning, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. Ben Davis gets a shutdown there, but no runs, but does walk 3. So again, just Ben Davis has got to figure it out. Pitcher comes back in, Maddox Webb comes back in. So listen to these stats. Ben Davis, 1.1 innings, 1 hit, no runs, thank goodness, 3 walks and no Ks. So he couldn't control the ball. Tyler Pitzer, 1 1/3, 1 run, 1 walk. Okay. Maddox Webb pitches to 1 batter, 1 hit, 1 run. That's it. Charlie Foster, 1 inning, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, no Ks. That should be the last time we see Charlie Foster touch the mound in a Mississippi State uniform. It has to be. I have no idea at this point what the coaching staff is seeing in Charlie Foster because it's not there. And I trust Brian O'Connor a lot. He's making the big bucks. I'm very happy he's our coach. Do not for a second believe anybody telling you that, oh, he's not the guy. We should have picked somebody else. And I kid you not, somebody over the weekend is on Twitter posting, that's why we should have got Will Coggin. Shut up. Give me a break. Will Coggin is not going to be the head coach at Mississippi State. Get that through your heads. There is a lot of stuff out there about Will Coggin. He's not going to be the head coach at Mississippi State. It's not going to happen. So get on board with that now and just stop being ridiculous. You'd rather have Will Coggin over Brian O'Connor? Give me a break. That tells me you have no idea anything about baseball or the landscape of the game. Anyway, Mississippi State loses the series that you desperately needed, and you were right there to take it. And I really do, like I said, I believe Aiden Till burning Maddox Webb and Ben Davis in that game really cost us. You could have had some rest, but him dropping 2 fly balls and costing us 4 runs was ridiculous. Now, the regular season is over. It's over. None of it matters anymore. Now is the time that the season really starts. It is time for postseason play, and that starts with the SEC tournament. Mississippi State's regular season did not go the way that I think a lot of people wanted it to go. And it's a little twofold, I believe, because the bad is you didn't really perform against any good teams. Your best wins are Southern Miss, run-ruling Southern Miss at Duty Noble, and beating Ole Miss, sweeping them in Oxford on the road, and getting the Governor's Cup win. So you have 4 wins over Ole Miss this season. and those are your best wins. Sweeping Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's not making the tournament. Sweeping LSU, LSU's not making the tournament. So those great weekends largely mean nothing. Those teams were terrible. And then you ended up, you lost. You only won 4 out of 10 SEC series this year. That's not good, guys. That is not good at all. And then you end up, how many sweeps were there? You ended up losing the series to Arkansas. You swept Vanderbilt, which again doesn't mean a whole lot. You swept Ole Miss, which is again your best wins. You get swept by Georgia. Georgia won the league. Okay. I think the one that really turns this season for State is getting swept at home by Tennessee. That couldn't happen. Tennessee's not a good baseball team. And they sweep you on your own field. Getting swept by Georgia shouldn't have happened either, but at least it's understandable. Getting swept at home by Tennessee is really what turns this season downward for Mississippi State. You then go on the road and you sweep South Carolina, who's terrible. You sweep LSU, who's terrible. You end up losing the series at Texas. Again, another series you had to have. You had a 5-run lead on that Sunday and blew it. And then everyone says, okay, you have a job to do. Win the series at home against Auburn, and you no-show in the series deciding game. And then you say, okay, well, we can win that series at Texas A&M. Warren Nolan had Mississippi State predicted to sweep this series at Texas A&M. And in all honesty, State could have and probably should have. Texas A&M had no pitching. The same guy that started the game on Thursday started the game on Saturday. And you can't win the series when they literally have no pitching whatsoever. You had arms, but they decided to continue not showing up or competing. And that's the thing that is frustrating. You are a Mississippi State Bulldog. You are expected to compete. You don't have to be elite, but you have to compete in the zone. And Ben Davis struggled with that. Charlie Foster struggled with that once again. And again, some of the coaching decisions, I don't know where they're coming from. And I am a very analytical guy. I love analytics. There is a huge part of the game that analytics plays. But at the same time, you also have to have situational awareness. You can play the right on left matchup or the left on right matchup, whatever you want to call it. You can play that. And most coaches do. But when you have a guy that's a hot hitter and he's on a streak of just, he's hit a home run in 5 games in a row or something, just something ridiculous, throw that out. Don't do that. Let the guy hit. Let him be who he is. When you have a guy that has not played well, and I get where Brian O'Connor's coming from. I mean, surely he had no way of knowing putting Aiden Till in with a 10-run lead. He had no way of knowing he was going to drop 2 routine fly balls. He could not have known that. And so I understand that one. He's probably thinking, we have a 10-run lead. We're not going to lose the game. Let's get him some playing time here and get him back, get him loose and all this. You can't expect him to blow it like that. And cost you 4 runs there. So that one I kind of understand. But some of the other stuff, we find out that some of the times that he's swapping out Maluski and Sean James is due to Maluski's back tightening up. That's fine. 100% take care of the player, and Maluski's by far our best catcher. However, sometimes in the game, it doesn't look like that. It looks like you're just changing catchers just to change catchers. And there's some other decisions, especially pitching, like I said twice now, Ben Davis needs to go 2 innings and be done. Mr. O'Connor, Coach O'Connor, you've seen him blow up in the 3rd inning time after time after time after time again. The experiment is over. It's time to earn your salary. Stop it. Okay? Charlie Foster. Charlie Foster should not touch the mound again in a Mississippi State uniform. Shouldn't happen. So, Brian, earn your salary. Stop with some of these moves you're making. If it's due to player injury, I completely understand, but not all of them are. Some of them are a little too leaning a little too heavy on the analytics side and not enough on the gut feeling that a 23-year head coach should have in some of these situations. And I would like to see some of that play out in the postseason here. I would like to see Brian O'Connor do his thing because everyone knows the staple of a Brian O'Connor team at Virginia was that they got hot at the right time and they would go on these postseason runs. When they won the national title, they were not a favorite. And they went on a just insane run. And most of his teams over the years at Virginia, that's exactly how they operated. They got hot at the right time and went on a deep run. Now, getting into the postseason here, Mississippi State baseball, their next game is going to be Wednesday morning at 9:30 in the morning. And they are going to play the winner of Ole Miss and Missouri, who plays tomorrow. Now, Warren Nolan has Ole Miss predicted to win that game. They play tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning, actually 9:30 tomorrow morning. That was Eastern time. So he's got Ole Miss projected to win that game 11-4. And so you might have Mississippi State facing off with Ole Miss for a 5th time this season. Just crazy. And my goodness, if Mississippi State could grab a 5th win over Ole Miss in Brian O'Connor's first year, that would be huge. What would also be huge is because Ole Miss is still ranked. Okay? Ole Miss is still ranked number 20. And when you look at RPI here, Mississippi State is sitting at 12 still. Even after the weekend, they're at 12. So hosting is safe, but probably out of reach for hosting a super regional and getting to be a top 8 seed. Now, we talked last week about some of these strength of schedules that are up here. I mean, UCLA's number 1 with a 33 strength of schedule. Georgia Tech's number 2 with a 19. North Carolina's 5th with 17. And USC is right now RPI number 8, but they're sitting there with the 32nd ranked strength of schedule. Then you have Nebraska with the 43rd ranked and A&M with the 18th ranked. Mississippi State has the 7th ranked toughest schedule in the country, and they're sitting at 12. So I wish we would take a little more stock in the strength of schedule metric here. Like we talked about, Georgia won the SEC. They're at 14 with a 23-7 SEC record. They're at 14 RPI with a 38 strength of schedule. So somebody needs to get the schedules right here, and I wish we would use the strength of schedule a little more, lean on it a little more. But Mississippi State is ultimately sitting at 12. Ole Miss is still 15-15 in the SEC, and they are sitting at 15th in the RPI metric. So that is a game, that probably wouldn't kill your hosting chances if you lost, but you would certainly like to have that win. Now, as far as the regional goes, because like we said, we are pretty set on hosting a regional, and it becomes who's coming to Starkville and then who are you paired with, right? Well, right now, Mississippi State D1 baseball has them looking at looking like the 14th overall seed, which does put you in that top 16 host spot, but you're still a good ways from number 8, and I think that's about what will likely happen. Um, but they've got Mississippi State hosting Coastal Carolina, Michigan, and St. John's. Now, Coastal Carolina baseball um, is a tough. They're a tough out. Okay, they're tough. They're good, not great, but their thing is their coach, Kevin Schnall. Okay, 36-19 overall, 21-9 in conference in the Sun Belt. Southern Miss just won that Sun Belt conference, by the way. And is it Sun Belt? I swear Southern Miss won the Sun Belt. Um, but Coastal Carolina ended up playing Ole Miss and winning 9-2. Okay. Um, so Coastal, good team. That's not going to be an easy out for the Bulldogs there. But you wonder, with the South Carolina job open, the one name that has continuously been talked about and floated for that job is Kevin Schnall of Coastal Carolina. So you have to wonder, how much is Kevin Schnall paying attention this postseason versus setting up his move to South Carolina, more than likely. Then you've got Michigan, an interesting one, 32-22 overall, 17-13 in the Big Ten Conference. So looking at who they've played, I don't know, trying to see if they've played any SEC teams. I don't believe that they have. They end up getting swept by UCLA. They sweep Maryland. Maryland was okay for part of the year. They end up getting swept by Ohio State. Justin Hare, former Campbell coach, taking care of business for Ohio State there. But Michigan, not one that I'm overly worried about. I am immensely more worried about Coastal Carolina sitting there as the 2 seed with the number 20 overall. And then St. John's coming in to Starkville to round out that regional as the 4th seed there. And they are sitting at 30-24, 15-6 in conference. So another 4 seed from the North. They end up playing an early season series at Kentucky, and they got swept. But all 3 of those games, very low scoring. No team got to 5 runs there. They end up taking 2 of 3 against UT Arlington. They play Seton Hall, Georgetown, Hofstra. They beat Hofstra 10-7. We know Hofstra from Mississippi State hosting them earlier this year. So they will play Creighton on Wednesday at 2:30 in the Big East Conference tournament there. So Coastal Carolina, Michigan, and St. John's. I like State's chances there. Again, the only one I'd be worried about there would be Coastal Carolina. But again, you have to wonder how much their head coach is paying attention. Who would Mississippi State be paired with? All the talk all season has been we would likely be paired with Georgia or Georgia Tech. Well, right now, we are paired with Georgia. And that is not good for Mississippi State. Georgia, the SEC champs, sweeps Mississippi State at Duty Noble. Right now, they are projected to be the 3rd overall seed, and they are looking like they are going to host Miami, Mercer, and Bethune-Cookman. Now, Miami, not too concerned about them for Georgia, but I will tell you, a sneaky team that is going to be a thorn in the Bulldogs' side there in Athens that weekend is going to be Mercer. Mercer is a team that has made several regionals. State used to host them at a few back in the day. They are a pesky team. They do not go away lightly, and that is a team that absolutely could win that entire regional. Um, when they are hot, they are hot. But ultimately, let's assume things go the way they're supposed to. You have Mississippi State, who would travel to Georgia once again to face the Bulldogs, this time on the road. And Georgia's ballpark's kind of small. Launching pad for the Georgia Bulldogs. State gave up, I think, 8 or 9 home runs at Duty Noble. I mean, it would probably be more than that in Athens. And right now, I don't trust Mississippi State's pitching in a 3-game series. I just don't. We don't have it. Um, so I would think Georgia would end up winning that super regional in that situation. So then the question becomes, how happy are you with losing in a super regional on the road in Brian O'Connor's first season as Mississippi State head coach? I think that's what a lot of people are missing the point on is, yes, we have the transfer portal, and yes, he brought in a lot of guys in that transfer portal. Some of these guys are still Chris Lemonis's guys. How well did we evaluate talent? How well did we recruit? Because I can tell you the recruiting that Brian O'Connor has been doing so far for the future is fantastic. So I wonder how much of this season is some missed evaluations by the Lamona staff, Brian O'Connor getting his feet wet in the SEC for the first time and learning the grind of an SEC season where week after week after week you're playing a top 25 team and it's even harder on the road. And then you've got SEC baseball crowds that he's not very familiar with. I mean, you weren't getting 14,000 at Virginia games. You just were not having it in any place that he played in that conference. So I think that a little grace has to be given because of it being year one of Brian O'Connor. This was not national championship or bust this season. This was, hey, coach, we are dead in the water. Come resurrect our program, get us excited again, and go win us a national championship. Now, year two, no grace. You gotta perform. You gotta win. You need to host. You need to host a regional. You need to host a super. The floor to me with Brian O'Connor as our head coach, and I have said it before, the floor to me is hosting a regional. You have to host a regional. If you're not hosting a regional, it's very, very difficult to make it to Omaha. So for me, that's where it starts under Brian O'Connor. That 15, 16, 17, 18 win SEC season, if Brian O'Connor can host a regional first and foremost every season, great. Mississippi State has not hosted a regional every year of other coaches that they've had. But under Brian O'Connor, it absolutely can be done. Now, obviously, we're not going to host a super regional this year, barring a huge run in the SEC tournament. I think not only would we have to win it, we would have to absolutely dominate every game we play. But maybe every other year you need to be hosting a super, be a top 8 seed. And again, keep the recruiting up, keep the transfer portal up. That's Brian O'Connor's job. So that's enough about baseball. Let's get into what the Lady Bulldogs did over the weekend. A phenomenal, phenomenal performance. You know, Mississippi State started the season winning something like their first 24 of 26 games, I believe it was, and just absolutely dominant fashion against some really good teams. But then the SEC comes, and Mississippi State softball sitting here today is 41-18 overall, 9-15 in conference. So a very poor conference record. However, you protected News Park pretty well. You're 20-7 at home, 11-10 away, and you're 10-1 in neutral sites. So the true away games have hurt Mississippi State this year, and conference play was rough on the Lady Bulldogs. But what ends up happening for Mississippi State is you end up in the SEC tournament, you win your first game versus Kentucky 4-3, and you lose your next game versus number 9 Arkansas. You lose that game 3-0. And that game ultimately ends your SEC tournament. But the Lady Bulldogs, because they were able to get some of the wins they got early in the season and stack some of those, you end up going on the road to Eugene, Oregon, to number 12 Oregon for the regional. You end up playing St. Mary's and you win 3-2 in 8 innings, walk-off single in that game. And then the fantastic performance in game 2 there. You played Oregon and you beat them 4-0 on the back of Alyssa Faircloth, 15-7 on the season. But this stat line, 7 innings, complete game, no hits, no runs, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. Alyssa Faircloth with the first no-hitter in NCAA program history for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. You win that game 4-0 to beat Oregon, the host of the regional. And then Oregon ends up getting put out. So then you face another round with St. Mary's. On Sunday, you have to be beaten twice, and you end up winning 5-0 and punch your ticket to just the second appearance in program history in a super regional. Now, it is not going to be easy whatsoever for the Lady Bulldogs as they are traveling to the Oklahoma Sooners. And I don't follow college softball very closely, but I know enough to know that there are 2 schools in college softball you don't want to see, and that's Alabama and Oklahoma. 2 absolute dynasties and powerhouses of softball programs. Oklahoma sitting here today at 51-8 overall, 20-4 in conference. They are 27-1 at home, 16-4 away, 8-3 neutral site. So it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for Mississippi State to go into Oklahoma and win this super regional. If they do it, watch out, because you have effectively taken a massive, massive favorite for the national championship off the board if Mississippi State's able to grab 2 out of 3 here. I don't know if that will happen. Keep in mind, this is Mississippi State's second ever super regional appearance. And obviously, Mississippi State has never made the College World Series in softball. Oklahoma has won it 8 times, and they have 18 appearances. So you are truly talking about a David and Goliath matchup here for Mississippi State and Oklahoma. And it's never easy for Mississippi State. It's never easy. Why would it be, right? Why would it be? Keep in mind, Oklahoma won the national title in 21, 22, 23, and 2024. 4 in a row. So when I tell you it's a dynasty, it is no joke. So it will be very entertaining to see what the Lady Bulldogs can do. Props to them for going on the road to a top 15 team and taking that regional from them. That is huge. Now it gets even tougher for the Lady Bulldogs. We will see what happens a lot going on in the postseason on the softball field and the baseball field. We will be back with you to recap. I believe our next episode will probably be recorded Wednesday night after Mississippi State plays in the SEC tournament Wednesday morning. We'll recap that game and get you ready for what the rest of the bracket looks like for that one. And we will go from there. So let's see what the Bulldogs, men and women, can do in the spring sports here in the postseason. Let's hope they can go on a run and get some special, special memories for them and for the fan base. I am your neighborhood Bulldog. Have a good night. Hail State.